Well, India's economic ties with Russia have strengthened rapidly in recent years. Annual trade has reached $68 billion. That's more than 5 times than it was before the war in Ukraine. Since 2022, India has become Russia's biggest buyer of seaborne crude, with oil making up about $50 billion of their total trade. And India has also spent around $60 billion on Russian weapons in the past 2 decades. In nuclear energy, Russia is building 6 reactors in India and is expected to supply the fuel for them. But the U.S. President Donald Trump has accused India of helping to fund Russia's war in Ukraine. In August, he raised tariffs on Indian goods to 50%. Let's go back to New Delhi once again and speak to Harsh V Pant. He's the Vice President and Director of Studies at the Observer Research Foundation. Thanks for your time. So Putin in India, first time in 4 years, and that's despite Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. How would you categorize the India-Russia relationship today as it stands?
I think India-Russia relationship is seen as very important by both Moscow and New Delhi. And it has seen significant investments of political capital, diplomatic capital by both sides. And this is an important visit, as you point out, because Putin is in Delhi after 4 long years and Ukraine crisis looming large. But India, I think, has been consistent in its approach on Ukraine. That is a message that India had always sent out, that in Ukraine, you can't achieve results through the battlefield outcomes. And that ultimately Russia will have to be on board for any kind of a long-term political settlement. So I think despite the geopolitical tensions, geopolitical changes, India and Russia continue to invest in each other diplomatically, economically, and I think that's the trend we will see coming out of this visit as well.
And of course, a key driver of that relationship has been oil trade. How much of this is going to be a focus of the talks in light of the U.S. pressuring India not to buy Russian oil?
I think oil has become an important part of this relationship in the last few years. It was not there before. And that's because Russia started after Ukraine crisis when it needed new markets. It started giving India discounts on energy trade. And I think that resulted in the burgeoning India-Russia energy ties. And India had been buying energy at that discounted price for a while. Now there are changes likely to happen in that because those discounts have come to an end. And of course, there are sanctions on Russian companies like Rosneft, which are creating problems for India, which will create more problems for India. So I think the trend on India-Russia energy ties is likely to be downwards. And Indian companies, despite India officially saying that it wants to continue to have solid energy ties with Russia, Indian companies would be reluctant to buy oil given the threat of sanctions looming over them.
But for India and for Modi specifically, is he going to be able to do this in terms of this is pretty much it's a big balancing act, right? He needs to show, at least domestically, that he's protecting India's autonomy while navigating that pressure from Washington, as well as EU countries and some dependence on Moscow.
Yes, it has been a balancing act, and I think ever since Ukraine, India had been balancing precariously between multiple partners. But I think one thing that India had always maintained that it is not going to buckle under pressure to renounce its ties with Russia. These are time-tested. This is a time-tested relationship, historical relationship. There is a warmth towards Russia and India, given how historically Russia stood up for India during the Cold War when no other country was willing to stand up for India and was putting sanctions on India from the West. So I think that means that the relationship remains a work in progress, that the relationship will continue to see political investment by Modi. And of course, Prime Minister Modi strengthens his own position by demonstrating to his own people that, look, he's not buckling under pressure. He's not going to change the direction of Indian foreign policy because Trump administration does not like it. And there is a sense of irony here as well, that Mr. Trump himself has engaged with Russia on a range of issues, including Ukraine, since coming to office. So I think putting pressure on India to say that Russia is a big challenge also does not go down very well here in India.
Defense ties are meant to be discussed, we understand as well. The Kremlin has said that an additional S-400 long-range air defense systems may be discussed with Modi during this visit. So if such a deal then moves forward, how significant would that be for India's defense? And could that complicate relations with the West?
I think defense is something that is actually not going to, have a lot of impact on the West, because since early 1990s, when the Cold War ended, India had been trying to reduce its over-dependence on Russia as far as defense is concerned. Though India continues to buy from Russia. And India has also opened up itself for as far as the West is concerned. So India's partners are growing, they are diversifying, and Russia remains an important partner because there is a historical legacy here. Given that India was almost 80% dependent on Russian weaponry during the Cold War, it has come down to around 60%, but this is still very significant. But there is, I think a lot of Soviet-era weapons remain legacy weapons for India, and a lot of new weapons have proved very effective. For example, S-400, as you were mentioning, and also BrahMos missiles that India is manufacturing. There's a joint project with Russia. So the defense tapestry of India-Russia relationship is quite wide, and that I think remains the central pillar of India-Russia relationship. The challenge for India today is to diversify India-Russia relationship beyond defense at a time when India wants to diversify also its defense partnerships. So the challenge is also here in the realm of India-Russia relationship, and the fact that India will have to organize its defense capabilities more effectively, given the challenge it is facing from China.
Okay, thank you so much. Harsh V Pant, you're joining us from New Delhi. Thank you so much.
Don't miss out on the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.